Welcome to What the Tech. We're the show that cuts through the hype to tell you what's actually happening. And today, we've got a story for you that, it starts in a college classroom, but trust me, it ends up questioning the future of, well, everything.
Okay, so picture this. You're in a classroom at some fancy, elite university. The professor throws out a question about the reading for the day, and boom, instantly you just hear this clatter of keyboards. Half the class is typing away like crazy. A few seconds later, hands shoot into the air. Students are ready with these perfect, polished answers. But the professor, she's looking around and thinking, wait a minute, something here is just not right.
Now, the easy diagnosis, right? The first thing you think is, AI is just making students lazy. They're not reading anymore, they're just getting WtT to do the work. It's a simple story, makes a lot of sense. But here's the thing, it's completely wrong.
Look, this is not a new problem. Come on, students skipping the reading? That's as old as Cliff Notes, Spark Notes, you name it. What is new is the tech, and more importantly, what this new tech reveals about the education system itself. See, AI didn't create this problem. No way. It just ripped the mask off a problem that was already there, hiding in plain sight.
And this is where you see the huge shift. Think about it. Before AI, if you didn't do the reading, you had two options. You could sit there, quiet, hoping not to get called on, or you could try to bluff your way through it and probably get busted. Either way, the professor knew who was prepared and who wasn't. But now, with AI, you can generate these perfect, plausible talking points in seconds. It creates this flawless illusion that you've done the work, even when you haven't. So let's put a name to this, right? Let's call it what it is: counterfeit engagement. It's the performance of learning without any of the actual, heavy lifting in your brain. It's faking participation. And it's so good, it's fooling teachers into thinking a real deep discussion is actually happening when it's totally hollow.
And that just leads to this massive question, doesn't it? Is this whole outsourcing your brain thing, is it just a bug, a glitch in the tech? Or is it actually a feature of the very system that created these students in the first place?
All right, so to even start to answer that, we got to pull back the lens. We need to look at the system that churns these students out. We're talking about the elite education pipeline. I mean, really think about how this pipeline works. From the time they're kids, these students are groomed for one thing: high achievement. They're rewarded for stuff you can measure: test scores, perfect essays, all that output. They're not rewarded for messy, deep thinking or, actual curiosity. They become masters of optimizing the system. So, what do you think happens when you give these optimization experts a machine that lets them outsource the hardest, most time-consuming part of the job, the actual thinking? Of course they're going to use it. It's the most logical, efficient move they can make. It's literally what we've trained them to do.
Okay, quick pause. If you're into this kind of analysis, the kind that doesn't just point a finger at the shiny new tech, but actually digs into the root of the problem, then do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the What the Tech channel right now. We'd really appreciate it.
All right, because this whole thing, it explodes way beyond the classroom walls. The stakes here are, well, they're massive for all of us. We could be looking at an entire generation of fakes.
You know, that professor who first spotted this, Eileen Gassell, she had the perfect analogy for it. She said using AI for all your hard thinking, it's like hiring someone to do your training runs for you and then expecting you can just show up and run a marathon. Yeah, you might get the medal at the end, but you can't actually run the race. Why? Because you never built the muscles.
So what's the end result of all this? What kind of person does this system create? Well, you get what you could call AI-augmented pseudo-intellectuals. These are people who are amazing at remixing other people's arguments. Just fantastic. But ask them to come up with an original thought, they can't. They write these hollow, fragile essays that look great until you poke them just a little bit. They can pretend to be experts, but the second you put them under any real pressure, the whole thing just falls apart.
And let me be super clear here. This is not just some academic problem. This is a massive risk to society. These are the exact students who are heading into law, into policy, into tech, into medicine. We are staring down the barrel of a future where our leaders, our problem solvers, might literally be incapable of the kind of deep, original thinking we need to solve our biggest challenges.
And the root of this is a total collision of values happening inside our universities. On one side, you've got the professors. They're pushing for rigor, for that uncomfortable struggle that comes with real, slow thinking. But on the other side, you've got the institutions, the universities themselves. And a lot of the time, they're playing a different game. They want happy customers, they want high rankings, and they want to slap AI readiness on a glossy brochure to pull in more money. And guess who's stuck right in the middle of this mess?
The students. They're getting these totally contradictory messages thrown at them. It's like, you have to use AI, you gotta embrace it or you'll be left behind, and in the next breath, but don't use it too much, because that's cheating. And the best one, the ultimate paradox is, think for yourself, be original, but also be super fast and efficient. I mean, how are they supposed to navigate that? It's an impossible bind. So all of this, it leads us to one single, hard-hitting conclusion. The real scandal here isn't that AI came along and broke the education system. No. The real scandal is that AI just showed up and exposed how broken that system already was.
You hear this all the time from universities, right? They love to talk about their noble mission. Their whole purpose is to create the kind of thinker, the kind of scholar who can't be replaced by a machine. It's a beautiful idea. It's inspiring. But is that what's really happening?
Because when you look closer, there's a huge disconnect. The stated goal is to build these irreplaceable minds, but the actual behavior, a lot of the time, it looks more like producing graduates with a fancy credential who are happy customers and, hopefully, future donors. It's about the transaction, not the transformation.
So let's just boil it all down. The scandal isn't the students using AI. It never was. The scandal is that the system was already rewarding this kind of fake performative thinking for years, long before anyone had heard of WtT. AI didn't invent this game, it just handed students a cheat code that was so powerful you couldn't ignore it. It basically called the entire system's bluff. So, really, AI isn't the killer in the story. Not at all. It's the detective. It's the one who walked into a dark room, flipped on the lights, and revealed a crime that's been going on for a very long time. And that crime? Valuing a piece of paper over actual skill. Valuing the performance of thinking over the real thing.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question to chew on. In this new world we're entering, are our universities really building the irreplaceable thinkers they promise? Or are they just getting really, really good at producing the exact kind of people who are going to be replaced first?